What's good, peeps? Thank you as always for passing by the channel. Much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. I don't know why I'm only just finding out this information because it's kind of old news. I think it's been floating around for like 3 or 4 days. But I just read that Terence Crawford versus Amir Khan's pay-per-view numbers came in just shy of 150,000 buys. Just shy of 150,000 buys, which isn't great. Let's be honest, it isn't great. I think this is Terence Crawford's second pay-per-view fight. I think his first one was against Victor Postal, and that done like 60,000 buys or something like that. I think it was 60,000 or even maybe less than that. Yeah, they need to work on Terence Crawford a bit. They need to work on Terence Crawford. The boxing public know him, respect him, love him, especially the hardcore boxing fans, but the casual fans maybe not so much. He needs to show, and look, this is a difficult one, right? Because his job is to be a boxer. His job is to get in the ring and do what he does, and he does it very well, hence why he's no worse than number 1 or 2 pound for pound boxer in the world. He does it very well as a free world champion. Respect, respect, respect. But you've got to sell your personality a bit more. You've got to sell it a bit more, especially if Bob Arum's going to chuck you on pay-per-view. You've got to sell it a bit more because people are obviously not tuning in. People are not buying. 150,000 buys isn't that great, people. Isn't that great? I know it was expensive. A lot of people were complaining. I think it was like $70, which is a lot. Like, let's be honest, that's a lot. That's like 50 pounds, 50 fucking pounds to watch Terence Crawford versus Amir Khan, which is incredible. Again, you compare it to the UK market when we do a pay-per-view event. I think it's what? I can't remember what it is. It's like $24.95 for HD. I think it could be like $19.95 for standard definition. So American audiences are having to pay, what, 2.5 times the amount that we pay. Right, we would never ever pay that much for Khan versus Crawford. So if you are going to chuck Khan versus Crawford on pay-per-view, then you've got to do a bit more. I thought the build-up was pretty good. I mean, in the UK, we got some really good bits from BT Sports. I don't know what it was like in America, but BT Sports done a very good job of covering this fight. I don't know what it was like in America, but every time I remember seeing an interview between Khan and Crawford, it was like watching paint dry. It was like watching paint dry. Crawford has personality, people. When you see Crawford being interviewed by some of the YouTubers in America, you see a different side of Crawford. But when he's on national TV, you don't see anything. You don't see anything at all. And people just aren't tuned into that, unfortunately. They do want to see a personality. And those two just, I mean, honestly, it was awful. Their interviews together were awful. Just boring, boring, boring. And I don't know if that was part of the issue. It also doesn't help, especially when we're talking about a big Errol Spence versus Crawford fight. The Errol Spence versus Mikey done, what, nearly 400,000, or I think just about 400,000 pay-per-view buys. Because Errol Spence is saying things like, we're never going to do 50-50 in terms of the money split. He done, 150, I done 400,000. Even though obviously Mikey's a big component to that, regardless, that's what Errol Spence is saying now. And on paper, you can't blame him. On paper, what he's saying is true, right? One done 400,000, one done 150. I didn't expect it to do as big as Mikey versus Spence, just because Mikey has that Mexican pull and Spence is getting a following as well now. But Bob Arum did say back in January that he thought and he expected this fight to do way more than Wilder versus Fury, which obviously it didn't do. I think Wilder Fury done 300,000. But with the Khan factor, because we are led to believe that Khan's some sort of draw, I expected it to get close to 300,000. So this is very, very disappointing. Fans are picking and choosing. I think a lot of fans going into this fight just didn't think it was going to be competitive at all, right? They weren't going to pay $70 to see a one-sided beatdown. And I think a lot of people thought it was going to be that. And let's not forget, the last thing American fans saw of Khan on American soil was him getting smoked by Canelo. And if they've seen the Vargas performance, which wasn't a great one, so they probably thought, we're not going to tune in for a one-sided beatdown. Let's save our money for something else. And they chose not to buy. But regardless of all those things, it still is a very disappointing number. Remember, Teofimo Lopez was on that undercard. Shakur Stevenson was on that undercard. So look, he put a lot of his big guns on the undercard, and it still didn't do a good number. It still didn't. He's got good fighters, does Bob Arum. But when it comes to promoting these good fighters, just don't know if he's got it anymore. I don't know if he knows how to do it anymore. Look, he has the number 1 and 2 in boxing, right? In Loma and Crawford. And I don't think any of their numbers are great. I don't think any of their numbers are really great. So, I don't know. It's going to be difficult now, especially because Spence is saying things like he's not going to do 50-50. On paper, that fight does deserve 50-50, him versus Crawford. But again, the numbers don't lie. Spence is doing good numbers, very good numbers. Crawford isn't. especially on pay-per-view anyway. I don't know about terrestrial and normal TV, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting what they do with Crawford going forward, especially who they pick next, and will it be on pay-per-view considering these numbers kind of bombed a bit. What do you guys think about that number, 150? Good, bad? Did you expect more? I did. Or it's just Crawford that. Crawford isn't a big pay-per-view guy. You know, he can be a great boxer, he's just not a good pay-per-view guy. Andre Ward is another good example. Andre Ward's numbers versus Kovalev, 2 pay-per-view fights against Kovalev back-to-back, weren't good at all either. Some fighters are good pay-per-view draws, some aren't. That's how boxing works. What do you guys think? Let me know. Peace.